Terrific.
With bloated ego, we are the only DJ crazy enough to tattoo Jackie Brown on his ass.
This is Michael Mann, and I ride with
Extended clip.
Like Adam 22's podcast, where like
people like
where
fuck
he fucks.
they fuck his wife.
Yeah, and then we
What happens on this? The guy from No Jumper?
No. It's,
Oh yeah. He has a podcast with his wife where they interview a porn star and then they both fuck her.
That sounds like the opposite of what I would want to do with my wife.
well, you know,
Dude, hey, that's why you and I don't hang anymore. You know what I'm talking about?
I moved to the East Coast because Rob sent me. He used to send me Howard Stern clips, and then he started sending me Adam 22 podcast clips, and I was like, dude, I cannot watch them fucking.
Eddie, yeah. The Art and Sports podcast sounds great, but this guy, he's on the money with something. Here's an idea for another podcast.
Well, I think a third podcast might actually cause me to no longer have a wife, so I don't think it would really.
Yeah.
I don't really think the process could set out. Then I would have to find a new one, and then it just the whole podcast doesn't work. It's extended clip. I am one of your hosts, Eddie Averill.
I'm Malcolm Baum.
I'm JT White.
And joining us all the way from sunny Los Angeles, where we used to do the show, our old friend. He's been on the show as much as anybody else. I'm giving him a boxing style intro. It's turning into more of a wrestling intro. He's coming in hot tonight. It's Rob Franco. What's up, dude?
Hey now, what up?
I want to go Pat McAfee. I gotta like get my sleeves up, go Eddie Mac mode. You know, 'cause Pat McAfee's deal with ESPN is just like I'm trying to get that money. So like, Rob, what do you think about the vaccine?
This is now the second time COVID things have been brought up, because when I answered the call, JT asked me if I had COVID. Because for the listeners, if you can't tell, I'm sick. And JT asked me if I had COVID. And to him, I said, you know, if you never test, you never have it.
Well, we're both sick
So
right
I don't
now.
know.
We're both struggling through it. What do you have right now? You have like a cold kind of thing?
I got something my fucking bitch gave me. I don't know.
Well, I am suffering from being very sleepy. I'm also suffering from
I'm just stuffed up and sick of the bullshit. You know what I'm talking about?
No, absolutely. I mean, for people like me who are allergic to the bullshit, allergy season has been a nightmare this year. But we are here on episode 251 of The Clip to do something we've never done before. We are going back to a film that we've already done an episode, because the best kind of films are the ones that you watch over and over, and it's not just that the films grow on you, it's that you grow alongside the films. Films that you watch year after year, or maybe even once every 5 years. You check in like an old friend, and maybe it's an old friend who you had a very like formative experience with as a kid, and you're not going to hang out with them all the time, but there's a bond that's never going to break, and you grow old with the person. And we're talking about Grown Ups 2 for the second time on Extended Clip today, and I really think Grown Ups 2 falls into that category. When we did an episode on it a long time ago, maybe 3.5, 4 years ago when we first started the podcast.
Yeah, it was like 2019, I think.
That's coming up on 4 years. God damn.
Back when life was still good. You know what I'm talking about?
4 years is like a lifetime. Someone said that earlier this year, and I
had a competent president in office.
The economy was good. Now
And the economy is good.
Now I'm broke.
Now look at us. Yeah.
It was weird. You know, I didn't like the guy, but when Trump was in office, no COVID. Then you have Biden, and then you have all this COVID stuff.
Where did it come from?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Not sure I'm remembering the timeline right. Regardless.
No, I think you're good.
Speaking of not remembering timeline right, so that was probably the second time I watched it after seeing it in theaters and not really liking it at the time, because it was like, you know, I went to the theater with my mom and my sister the day Grown Ups 2 came out, and I was like, yeah, it's an obligation. I'm going to see my old buddy Adam Sandler no matter what when he puts a movie out. But I was like, this is kind of whatever. It's lazy and low stakes and not really gripping me. And then when I went back to it, I was like, oh, wait, that's why it's good. This is one of the ultimate hangout films, especially of the 21st century. I don't know if there's a better American hangout comedy. If you think about the faults of the Adam Sandler movies, especially late in his career, that they lack dramatic thrust and realism, and they feel like just an excuse for him and his friends to go on vacation and get huge paychecks and exploit Sony and then later Netflix, this is the film that answers that question with a big grin and a nod. Yes, it is. And that's why it's art. And that's why these guys who are, as a whole, maybe an average of like B plus, maybe even B minus screen presences, you know, like overall outside of their Sandler work, you know, these guys, it's like the kings of comedy for the Sandlerverse, but they're not like fucking all-stars really. They're good. And so
the kings of being guys.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
when you get all of them in the bus and the metaphor begins, the metaphor of the school bus of friendship, where you're literally just driving around town, picking up your homies in a stolen school bus, getting fucked up and making jokes about each other. It's just like, that is the most perfect hangout cinema possible to me. I cannot say enough about the vibes of that first half, like from the school bus to the Kmart, those two sequences back to back, just like absolutely destroy me. Every beat is so low stakes, but so funny. And it's mainly funny because these are guys we've watched in movies for 25 years, pretty much playing themselves.
Beautifully put.
I feel like this time around, I was just, it's funny reflecting on the rewatch and time itself. Like, the first time I saw this was in 2019 when we covered it for the podcast. And it's just funny to see now that I've built out, like, the Sandler filmography, how I went in skeptical, but like, I don't know, with an open heart and an open mind. And just now, I showed it to Nico for the first time because we had just watched Jack and Jill together recently, and he was totally there for Jack and Jill. And I was like, well, buddy, Grown Ups 2 is going to knock your socks off. And it was fun sharing a movie that, like, I've rewatched like at least like maybe three times and have grown such an affection for, and like watched my relationship to Sandler's work change over time, to bring that to a dear friend and have him engage with it and as well and love it. And it's just like, I don't know, it's such a fun movie that like just the text is about friendship and family, and then there is that like heavily metatextual element of just the dudes hanging out, having a great time, and you can see that in elements of the craft that I feel like, again, like there's the lazy critique, whatever, but like there are moments this time around I really noticed in some of the stuff with Stone Cold and Sandler, you can see both of them like kind of break. I feel like it happens with Sandler like a few times. Like he's like always kind of on the verge of a laugh or like a smile or giggle. That's like, I mean, again, it's like, what is the character that he's playing there? Just the loosest version of a guy that's himself. But I don't know, all those things just like they add to this fun, like affectionate quality of the movie. It's just like the ultimate, they were having a great time when they were making this movie.
Well, and I think they were having a great time is usually an awful thing to say positively about a movie, but this is one of the rare examples where it seems like the cast chemistry is truly built out of them having a good time.
Yeah.
And that's why it works so well.
Absolutely.
Rob, as our guest of honor, what's your Grown Ups 2 history? Did you see it in theaters? Have you been watching it over the years?
I did not. I probably talked about this on the pod before, but like my relationship with Sandler was like, I loved those movies as a kid, and then you kind of get snobby in high school, and you're like, I'm better than that, and then you watch Punch Drunk Love, and you're like, oh, so he can act, and then you get even older, and then you're like, oh, I'm not better than this. This is still the shit. And Grown Ups 2 was one that I kind of missed amid being a piece of shit. And then I think I watched it for the first time when I was home 2020 for COVID shit.
Oh, okay. That's a good time. I mean, that probably made you sad, like miss your friends and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I was also like, this is the best movie ever. It's just the fucking shit. It's basically Dazed and Confused for adults.
Yeah, it's the best like pro suburban movie ever. It's like a movie about like why being like upper middle class is like the best thing you could do without, you know, like obviously it doesn't get as political as that sounds, but it is just like, I love how it is just like Sandler and his friends just dominating a city, dude. Just like going to the Kmart and just fucking shit up, you know what I mean? Working out on the things, and it's like the cops come. I'm friends with the cops. We all do dances together. We're actually all perverts together, and we all go to my daughter's recital just to ogle at the blonde ballet instructor. And I think, you know, what's interesting about grown-ups...
I didn't notice she was blonde.
Oh. Going Peter Dante mode, going like, oh! But I think I feel like, of course, there's a lot of people who have criticized this movie, right? And to hear us be like, oh, this is such a warm movie, you know, that's like heartfelt, and you could feel the friendship, which I think is true. It's definitely true. But I think for a lot of people, that's kind of like hard to accept given the vulgarity of the movie and kind of
often mean-spiritedness of the humor. Even if it's like warm in the end, a lot of the jokes are like pretty crude toward their characters. But that's the thing. It depends on your relationship with cruelty and humor. I know Malcolm's a big fan of light humor, but you can also be a fan of cruelty. And I think it's like you have to be able to buy into that or not buy into that. And if you fuck around with your friends in a way that can be mean sometimes, you're more likely to be accepting of watching other people do that on screen with each other. You know, it's simple as that.
Yeah. I also love how time just does not exist in this movie.
Yes.
Where these characters are able to do so much throughout their day, where it's like, how are you fitting all this in?
It's the dream of suburbia.
How are you fucking setting up for this party with a band?
Yeah, they got the Jay Giles band in there.
That is like fucking. The backyard is literally like a fucking Civil War battlefield. Like, it's huge.
Well, that's what I love about these Sandler movies is they're always like so professionally done in terms of like production design and cinematography and stuff. And it's like, it's, you know, they're quote unquote real movies in a way that they weren't once they moved to Netflix. And on Netflix, they're a lot shaggier looking, but the heart of them still, you know, wins you over and stuff like The Week Of or Sandy Wexler. But in this one, it's like, even the art direction of the fucking Kmart scene with like all the two color scheme thing of when Chris Rock's making fun of Tim Meadows about like the whole interracial dating thing with their kids is so good. It's like, wait, why does this look so good? Even though people will make fun of me for that and just post a still of, you know, Kevin James eating a sandwich with a gray background. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sure this film looks really good to you, but it's more that it creates a real world as a sandbox, in a real artfully designed world as a sandbox for these characters to hang out in. The Kmart feels like it's 5 miles long and a studio instead of a Kmart, and it might as well be, and that's fine because that's the whole point, is that Nick Swardson can feel like he's a mile away from the rest of them while he's you know, knocked out and yelling at the guy who wakes him up and calling him grandma, which, hey, maybe that's an allusion to Grandma's Boy. But it's just, I don't know. From the start, you know what you're in for because the opening joke is Adam Sandler getting peed on by a deer, and then that leads to like jokes about like his kid jacking off and stuff, and you know, and then the mailman complimenting his wife's tits, and his wife being played by Selma Hayek is so good because she essentially gives the same performance that she does in 30 Rock, but comedy snobs would say that she's horrible and disgraceful in this and genius in 30 Rock, you know? And I love both of these things. 30 Rock and Grown Ups 2 are two of my favorite things. But I just love her seeing basically give the same performance in two totally different tonal contexts and how it worked. Also, one thing that kills me, like just locks me in right away and always gets me, is Kevin James's kid not getting math.
7 plus 9.
79.
Is he a little boy or a computer? 'Cause
Don't destroy his confidence.
I think someone just like very confidently being wrong about something. Like it's hard for me to nail down what's funny theoretically, but someone being very confidently wrong is almost always funny to me. And that little kid just being like, yeah, 7 plus 7, 25, you know, like that shit destroys me every time.
It's hilarious. And then he's actually a piano savant by the end of the movie. And it's a joke that he's.
Oh wow, my kid's actually smart. I actually kind of like him now. I thought they were kind of dumb before, but now that I recognize that they have some talent, you know, I actually kind of like them. And I feel like there's a lot of this movie is like, you know, classic suburbanite kind of issues that are brought up, dealt with in like the lightest way possible, you know.
Oh, totally.
With the levity, but it's like it's still there where it's like kind of like, you know, what's
the helicopter parents and the self-confidence and letting the kids get everything wrong, and trophy parents and stuff like, or trophy culture or whatever, you know,
or just being unsure of like the younger generation in general.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
I mean, it happens with every generation, but it hits on a lot of the stuff people were using as talking points in the early 2010s for sure.
And it is like, it's almost out of like, this movie's built out of a sense of fantasy. Like you look at the first one, it's like kind of like them nostalgic about their basketball team. It was very like specific and like how we won this basketball game and that's when we were the man, you know what I mean? It seemed like they were a middle school basketball team. And then this one is them just kind of fantasizing about like the debauchery of youth in high school and like, man, remember when we used to like get girls or whatever and like we were like we partied.
Juxtaposed with fucking Chris Rock finding out that his wife forgot their anniversary, and the first thing he's thinking about how he's gonna get back at her, he's like, oh, I'm gonna drink so much soda. That bitch is
a non-diet soda.
The payoff
that is his first. He's like, I'm gonna have a whole pitcher
of the Pepsi pitcher is so
funny
my God,
to me. That's one of my favorite images in this. Is obviously throughout all of the Happy Madison Sony films, there's Pepsi. You know, product placement, but in this one it's very forward facing, and the shot of Chris Rock double fisting Pepsi cans, pouring them into a pitcher, one of the most ineffective ways to drink soda probably, is one of the funniest things about this movie. They also have lasagna slices the size of your fucking head on their plates in that scene, if you don't notice. It's really just a fucking joke on how fake all the food and stuff is, and like a lot of the aesthetic of this is kind of TV commercial aesthetic, but heightened for the sake of making it a movie and not a TV commercial. But it's like generic American suburbia, and that's what the film's about. It's about American suburbia and like, you know, breaking through to that level where you can be comfortable. And the thing is, not all of his friends can, but Adam Sandler's the best guy in the world and he helps out all his friends. It's like David Spade what does he work at, the skee ball place or something like that? Some shitty job. Go-kart place. Yeah. And he has his I love how cruel this film is to David Spade. He works part-time at the go-kart place and has a Star Wars van, and his his sex partners are implied to have just been the very buff woman that is referred to as beefcakes, and the very cartoonishly disgusting pizza delivery lady.
Yeah, and that's what kind of what's very funny is like they're always making references about how he's like, yeah, he's still like when they're at the cliff and like they're looking at the college guys and they're like, man, this is how we used to do it. And he's like, that's how I still do it, baby. And then they're like, yeah, you do. And then you see every woman he's with, it's like just dog after dog.
The buff woman, probably the butt of the most cruel jokes of the film.
Yeah,
sure.
That's
would
bad.
not fly today. The trans stuff is like, yeah, the joke is that she's a bodybuilder lady, so they just keep saying that she has a penis, and That's nobody's favorite type of joke, but it's part of a thing that exists. You know, it was just how times were 10 years ago. That didn't get flagged by the studios when you're making a movie.
Yeah, I mean, we could go into the history of Sandler movies and that kind of a joke. Like, they're just a part of the old Happy Madison movies.
Yeah, it's the downfall of traditionalism. Like if you're talking about Sandler as like a classical, or the Happy Madison films as like kind of neoclassical comedies, like they remind you of the comedies of the late studio era, the 60s, like Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter or Man's Favorite Sport or stuff like that is what always I feel like these films were based out of, with a little bit of the Frank Capra melodrama as well. And yeah, obviously the times weren't too progressive back then. Like you can't expect that stuff, and you know, I no more on that. That's all.
Hey, but at the end of the day, we're all a part of the same family.
Yeah, I mean, it's he gets the redemptive line at the end where he shouts very affirmatively, "She's a woman and she's my woman." And hey, what else can you expect from a Sandler?
All is forgiven.
You know?
What do you call it? You know what?
Also, we have Nick Swardson saying that he ate a banana with his butt, which
that
is
is
very
hilarious.
good.
Well, Nick Swardson, he's gay in this movie. He tries to.
Well, he's kind of, his whole thing was always, is he or isn't he?
Yeah, like the gay robot thing on his sketch show. Or gay robot was part of his stand-up act and then part of his sketch show, and then Sandler was like, yeah, you should do that in movies too.
Yeah, Reno 911. That was probably his best rendition of a homosexual man in Reno 911.
He was also the Rob Schneider replacement, which easy market correction. Yeah.
Well, okay, I have heard a story about why Rob Schneider is not in this. That is not what I heard.
Ooh.
Now, this could not be true. It very well could not be true, but I want it to be true.
Yeah.
Apparently, after the first movie, Sandler bought all of his boys an electric car.
Damn.
And Schneider sent Sandler the bill for the electricity for the car. And Sandler was like, what the fuck? Why would you do this? And was like, all right, you're not in the next movie, bitch.
Getting Swardson out of the bullpen.
True. I don't think that's true, but I want it to be true because it's so petty.
It was basically going to be a scale payment for the role, and Schneider was like, no, I'm worth more than that. And he's like, no, I'll get fucking Swardson then. You know. So
another example.
Yeah, either way, it's Schneider was a little, shisty with it there.
You know,
and you know what? I prefer Swardson to Schneider. I'll be honest. You know, group hug in the shower is funny.
A little
and all,
Rob Schneider
do it all night long. That's good. But like, yes, Rob Schneiderwitz.
Schneider's been good in some Schneider. I think he
has the funniest part in fucking. What's it called? Longest Yard. I genuinely think the callback to Do It All Night Long with the group hug in the shower tonight, like that makes me laugh harder than most things in The Longest Yard.
Yeah. No, Schneider, and I think his reputation is earned as, a lot of people's least favorite Happy Madison. Yeah. Although some people would argue Swardson. I don't even exactly know where I fall on that, but it's I don't know. He's been good in movies before, but it is like it's Swardson for Schneider in this one is okay because it's like there's literally so much stuff going on in this movie. Like literally the way that this movie's structured is like there's like fucking 5 new characters in like each scene for like pretty much an hour straight. You know what I mean? So the Rob Schneider stuff in Grown Ups 1 where he's like kissing old ladies and stuff. That's pretty funny, but it's okay that they went a different direction. And also I wanted to. For product placement, because I think you mentioned it with the Pepsi, Sandler's the GOAT product placement guy in movies.
Absolutely.
Like, ever. Like, I was thinking about...
I still think about the Subway from Happy Gilmore. Like, Happy Gilmore makes me want to eat Subway sandwiches.
I mean, Popeyes is the shiznit is insane.
Oh, of course.
And I like... underrated... In the original Grown Ups, there's actually a pretty great product placement scene where... I forgot what exactly the context is, but they're all like dancing together, and like Kevin James just has a KFC bucket on his head like a lampshade. You know what I mean? And it's honestly some next level stuff. So honestly, a lot of other people trying to put product placement in their movies, it would be very annoying. But at least Sandler, he makes it funny. Maybe for the hardcore anti-capitalists out there, maybe that's not enough, but. I don't know. Popeye's chicken is the shiznit. What do you want me to say?
You're goddamn right. Kmart, great place to shop. I like that there's an allusion to Kmart like before that scene, and then they go to Kmart. It's like maybe the justification is like, well, he was thinking about Kmart because of that line of dialogue earlier. So then they go to Kmart.
It's Kmart's like a mirage of desire. The Kmart here, it's like a fantasy world where you could go sleep there, you could go work out, you could see people from the past. You know what I mean? It's truly a place filled of like just unlimited desires.
The only song that plays is "Werewolves of London" by Warren Zevon.
It just indulges in that feeling of being a child and being like, I want to be locked in a department store.
Yeah.
Just me and all my friends, we just play so much.
You play too much. I really just love like all of that stuff, and then it cuts back to the school before going back to the parking lot, but spatially we'll stay at Kmart because then you introduce Shaq and Peter Dante as the greatest buddy cop duo you can imagine. And yeah, Malcolm, you're right, it's like every single scene you're just meeting new characters. It's ridiculous. That is of course where Shaq and Peter Dante do a little dance with them. Also, I want to shout out David Spade's kid. I feel like we didn't talk about how great he was last time. It's like in small spurts, he's really fucking good. He has that part where he's holding up the stick figure drawing of David Spade and it says him next to it. And he says, "You're him."
I mean, who could forget the swimming hole scene where, he convinces a couple of the sons of the grown-ups to go to like this college hangout. And he's just in an inner tube, and it's just like cuts to him, and he's like, "Summertime," and then it just cuts away. It's like intentional or not. It's
that's one of my favorite moments in the movie. Summertime.
He's one of two people who proclaim that it is in fact summer, and both of them fucking kill me. Like that one is the two high school kids are at the college hangout party thing, and they're like dumping beers out looking like they're taking a piss kind of so that they don't have to drink beer, because one of the great lines in this movie is, "I'm not sure I'm ready for beer yet."
Responsible kid.
Yeah, but yeah, then it cuts to Spade's illegitimate son. Just zoom in on him going, "Summertime." And then the other one is when David Spade is rolling down the hill in the tire in a set piece that's like a combo of David Spade stunts with GoPro and flagrant CGI. You have Alan Covert as the hippie teacher watching him roll by and just go,
"Oh yeah, summer is here, man."
I think just proclaiming that it's summer is like the way people say like "we're back" on Twitter all the time, which I'm not a huge fan of that, but whatever, say what you will. That's really what this film is all. It's the essential summer is here.
It's summer, baby.
Like, summer is here. School's
We're wearing
out.
shorts.
I mean, that's why Dazed and Confused has fucking "School's Out for Summer" by Alice Cooper 5 minutes in. Like that's what the ultimate good time movie is gonna be. Is there's nothing like the emancipation, the almost freedom from prison feeling of being in school for 9 months and then getting out to do whatever the fuck you want for 3 months. And as an adult in this movie, they even acknowledge that the party's over, which is almost like an Easy Rider, 2-lane blacktop type like reckoning. But it's not, of course. But it's like, yeah, obviously you can't do that anymore, but you have to accept that you guys live this incredible upper middle class life, and they can have these crazy parties with high production value at the drop of a hat. And so they accept that they are happy because of that. They have each other and they have their family, and they might have nostalgia for when they were teens and getting fucked up all the time, but what they have now is pretty beautiful too.
Well put.
Yeah,
thank you.
Well, I do love all the summer is here just asides. It does make you feel like, oh baby. Yeah, I think the "we're back" comparison is very appropriate. It's also like when you think about it, like, I mean, unless you're a teacher, when you're not a kid, like if you're an adult, summer isn't really a real thing. Like the summer break, it's like, oh, it's just hot now. But
I'm gonna be
you watch
sweating
this
when I wake up. Nice.
But yeah, exactly. But then you watch this movie and like you do get that feeling of, oh yeah, oh baby, it's here. Summer's here.
We could be old. We could be.
It feels good.
Yeah, like doesn't matter. We're not like hot college guys. What is it? Is it beers on ice, hot ladies? This is how we used to do it. You know, it doesn't matter if it's not, you know, quite like that. I mean, yeah, it's obviously this is a very simple concept for people to comprehend. It's like, you know what? Maybe I'm not getting wild like I used to in high school, but I got money, I got a house, I got a family. Like things are going well. You know what I mean? And you know, that's for a lot of these movies, you know, American Beauty, right? It's all about the ennui, the like, you know, damn, I want to have sex.
Shut up. Be happy.
Yeah, just be happy with your.
Go to Kmart, pussy.
Yeah, go to Kmart.
Yeah, it's like
go
how
to fucking Kmart.
It's like how I talked about Fight Club being the ultimate, like they didn't know how good they had it movie. Like all of those end of history, late 90s, early 2000s American movies that are like that. Yeah, they didn't know how good they had it. And Grown Ups 2 is about acknowledging how good you have it, which that's part of why I love it is like, I can be a bit of a crank, a cynic, negative outlook kind of guy. They say that Eddie, he's a crab apple. They say many things about me like that. But you know, I love a little bit of optimism when it's earned. And I think that the positivity of this film is almost like a healthy dose of medicine for my Krabappelian outlook on life. But yeah, I don't know. I think that like all of the extended fight scene stuff is ridiculous. You know, all the young kids, the college kids who are owning the turf earlier at that lakeside spot. They come and try to ruin the party. And so it's just this extended fight scene of all these fucking boomers beating up college kids. And it's very funny that it's just like the generational conflict leads to them just beating up the younger generation because they're wiser and better and have more money than them. And again, they acknowledge how much better they have it than everyone else, and that rules. And at one point, Shaq throws a guy over a house.
I mean, this is why it's a fantasy movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's obviously steeped in reality, but it's kind of like Sandler basically making a like fictional version of himself, like in this, you know, in the Grown Up series. He's like a rich guy who made it big in Hollywood, and you know, he's come back to reclaim his hometown in a way. It's like, oh, I got to get back to my roots because my kids are too rich. You know what I mean? I got to hang out with my friends. And I don't know, it just it fulfills that promise of kind of like just being like entitled to do anything and go anywhere. Sandler truly does own the city. You know what I mean? It's like you know, a lot of the characters in movies, especially about suburban life, these characters are targets of ire. Like the guy who has everything, who has the hot wife, who is basically the king of the town. Usually there's something in a movie to subvert that and show us like that guy actually isn't happy, but in reality that guy actually is happy. The guy who's like the king of your suburb, I mean, that's kind of like it's a pretty good place to be. And you know, Sandler acknowledges that. And even like characters like Colin Quinn, who's like the bitter guy from high school, like, damn, I've always seen that guy be cool, you know, that fucking sucked. Even at the end of the movie, he's like, well, this is a pretty good party. I'm having a good time. You know what I mean? So
the realest part of this movie, the part that cut the deepest to me, was Colin Quinn working at the ice cream place, Sandler getting one of his kids a job there and saying, oh, it's a great first job for a kid. And then just pans over to Colin Quinn, who's clearly been working there since he was 16 and managing the place now or whatever. It's just like, oh boy, like I'm, you know, regrettably going back to food service work after saying I was done with it forever for the fourth time. And yeah, that's genuinely like a horrifying thought to me, as being that age and, you know, working with 16-year-olds. And the fact that did cut as deep is probably just more of a me thing than a credit to the movie.
The ice cream gag was funny.
Yeah, no, I love the ice cream gag where it looks like he's pooping, but even more than that, when he's mad at Adam Sandler's son for being able to pick up girls on the job, he throws the ice cream scoop and just hits a woman in the back of the head with
so
it.
good.
just like so random and cruel, and the sound effect for it is like, oh, that's a concussion. That's like brain damage right there. I also love that the film ends with Adam Sandler finally accepting his wife's pregnancy, because Selma Hayek told him she was pregnant at the beginning, and he was very, or I guess halfway through, and he was like, I don't know about this. We got enough pizza already. And I love that the end of it is him being very heartfelt, but then flirty enough with her to get a little pregnant sex. To quote UGK's classic song, pregnant pussy is the best you can get. I won't quote the rest of the song because of certain words I'm not allowed to say. But
I also love that the movie ends with a beautiful homage to Goodfellas, where they're at Kevin James' mom's house having a late night dinner.
Yes,
with all the boys.
So good.
Eating pasta or whatever.
Also, yeah, Kevin James being addicted to hanging out with his mom is a very funny subplot of this.
There's a bunch of just strange conflicts that the movie kind of sets up for itself, you know what I mean? That like or even like not even strange, kind of like the Chris Rock stuff with the wife. It's like, it could feel like maybe somewhat perfunctory at times, but it is just like, I don't know, it's kind of just part of the juggling act of keeping all these characters involved, and I don't know, it's like, I guess, do we like really care about like David Spade and his son reuniting? You know what I mean? It's like not ultimately.
No, it's just things for them to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's just part of the list of activities. And it's funny you brought up like David Spade's character kind of being like somewhat like self-referential. I think maybe aside from like the Chris Rock character, just because his career has been maybe a little bit more maybe successful or just varied than those other guys, but it is like Kevin James is just playing like a B, like not B version, but like kind of like an offshoot of his King of Queens character, like a blue collar guy. And then David Spade's playing like a version of himself, just like, a horny old guy who, is still trying to score. And then and it's just, I don't know, a lot of even like the Taylor Lautner character, like everyone's kind of playing parodies of themselves. And I don't know, this cast is like weirdly loaded with like people who have like 2 minutes of like screen time but are like kind of like big name actor. Like isn't like
John Lovett's basically reprising his Little Nicky role as the pervert.
Well, exactly. And that's I forgot that, but that was the one I was leading up to. John Lovett's taking this movie to a very dark place when he kind of sexually harasses a room full of yoga.
You love it. You love it. I love that.
And it is like, I think that's truth or not, that's how I view John Lovitz in real life. That's like,
for sure.
That is John Lovitz.
Like that. So
I believe the beginning of Little Nicky, and I believe that scene. He also appears later during the ballet recital where he's up in the rafters.
Fellas.
Yes.
Now, do you think I don't think it would ever happen because one of the kids in the movie is dead now, but like if there was a Grown Ups 3, how do you think it would look? What would your ideal version of a Grown Ups 3 be?
Now, this is hard because obviously the kid's dead. So you got to address that right away. Maybe you do a flashback one. Maybe you do kind of a Wet Hot American Summer style, like these guys back
prequel.
in the 90s, in young makeup or whatever.
Ooh,
like not so grown up yet. Grown Ups 3, not so much.
It's on the cusp of them growing up.
Yes.
It's like them going into college, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yes, Grown Ups 3, growing up.
That's not bad. That's not that.
Thank you, Executive Franco, Malcolm.
No, just like the first one's kind of middle school, second one's high school. So I was definitely like, the third one has to do with like college in some way, and then like I don't know, maybe like my kid's going to college, and like grown-ups to grad school.
Kevin James wants to get a library science master's.
Talking about the dialectic.
I was thinking maybe they go okay, Spade is getting married to a 19-year-old girlfriend, and they go Vegas mode for the bachelor party. Grown-ups take Vegas.
I like it.
I like it. I like Grown Ups in Vegas.
I like Grown Ups in Vegas too. Yeah.
just like it's a kind of like a raunchier, you know, because the first two are kind of like quasi family movies in a way. Although Grown Ups 2 does have a lot of vulgar humor that.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, but they are kind of like somewhat family, just because they deal with family. But like.
No, I thought it was really uncomfortable when I saw it with my mom. Like a couple of things, like most of it was fine, but the scenes where Sandler's kid and Chris Rock's kid are pretending to get drunk so they could feel up college girls, like that made me as like a 17-year-old watching this with my mom. That made me feel very uncomfortable.
There are some like, you know, bad vibes in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, certainly.
Like a lot of this movie operates like I feel like half the scenes will like just leave you on a stinker, like on purpose, just like especially the Malcolm character, like his son, like, you know, obviously maybe the most over the top character with the.
How'd you like to spend the first night of summer with the hardcore up and comer?
You know, him talking in like a exaggerated like rap way or whatever, and I feel like just the scenes with him, and they'll just have him say like oh, that's cold or whatever, like just, and like it's so funny how where just scenes decide to end in this movie, because it's like it's usually like kind of like the worst part of the scene, and I feel like that can leave a bad taste in the mouth, but I kind of like it just because it feels like kind of like bad jokes you would tell like around your friends to get like
you
a
can
groan
tell
out of them.
They're just starting to use the most worn out material there, and it's like we're moving on.
Yeah,
it's like it's because it's like the film has such a lethargic like light pace, but I do feel like I don't know. I'm never like let's fucking hurry this up. Like even in some of the I don't know the bits that don't land well. I mean, also I feel like it's a healthy mix of like by this point I've endeared myself to them so much that even the bad jokes are just they're like old friends in my heart.
Like, do you ever have an uncle who tells you the same joke every other year, kind of? Like, he forgets that he told you it, and it's like, you know the ending, and it's not even a good joke, but it's almost funny that he forgot, you know? Malcolm, any final thoughts on Grown Ups 2 and a bullet rating as we wrap up the Grown Ups 2 Revisited podcast?
Well, yeah, it's funny just seeing that. It's like, I've seen this movie so many times at this point. I feel like I've seen it like 5 or 6 times, and like you know, just rewatching it for the pod, it is like I still laugh at it. Like I still like there's so many jokes in it that, you know, there's stuff you're gonna miss, there's stuff you're gonna find funnier maybe than the last time. And I think the way this movie's structured, where like the first hour is like so inconsequential and kind of just gives you a taste of a bunch of different characters that make up the suburbs, you know, Buscemi the driving instructor, and you know, the car wash and shit like that. And it's like, you kind of forget like how the movie's structured, because how could you? You know what I mean? And like, and like, you're kind of like I think of like the watering hole college scene as like a huge set piece. And for some reason, like it feels like a scene that would happen in like the first 15 to 20 minutes of a movie, as like, then we kind of see like the kids in that scene grow. But that's not what this movie's like aim is about. It's like, it's about just being kind of nonsensical and just finding weird, vulgar humor, you know, through, you know, the suburban environment. And I don't know. So it's like like I think that scene kind of happens like almost like 50 minutes in, or I don't know exactly where, but it's just like, dang, like I just, you know, it kind of, it feels fresh in that way, where I don't know the order of the scenes. I remember the scenes, but not the order of them. And I don't know. It's
like when you're at a party and someone comes in that you forgot that you invited, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. That guy's here.
Steve Buscemi's here.
Yeah.
That's fucking sick.
I forgot I invited Shaq.
Yeah, exactly. And the classic, like weird cast that Sandler amalgamate, and you know, the love he has for sports media figures, like Dan Patrick getting a couple gags here.
Dan Patrick getting the great line, "Who wants to see me climb a rope?"
Yeah, getting 2 hairy ass jokes, and then Chris Berman getting a soap opera thing. It is like, I don't know. I love people using that power. I kind of wish people would just be like, what are some things that, like, who are some people that I like? Like, let me just put them in my movie for no reason. Like, I always thought it'd be funny to put Zach Bagans from Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. I always thought it'd be funny to cast Zach Bagans in a movie. Like, I don't know. That's my example.
That's good. I think you could. I think you have the money that you could.
Well, he's making bank from his Las Vegas Haunted Museum that I visited last year, so he might be a little bit out of my price range. Where you could see the bed that Lamar Odom OD'd on. No joke. No joke. That's actually one of the exhibits. Yeah, it's like
to go back to that museum and introduce yourself the way I did with Whit Stillman at the screening, and just be like, "Look, dude, you got to come on the pod. You got to be in my movie."
I think that's something that will happen one of these days. But yeah, I love the freedom. There's a sense of freedom in this movie that's due to Sandler just being so established. And I think what we're talking about, I guess if you're listening to this like right now and you're like, okay, what for like 45 straight minutes of sucking Grown-Ups 2's dick, like, you know, cool stuff, you know. I guess if
when's it gonna come?
Yeah, like if you have that mindset already, it's like maybe there's some other Sandler movies you'd watch first to endear yourself to the character of Sandler before watching this one. This is advanced Sandler.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This isn't a gateway. This is something. This is Sandler theory you visit after.
This is for the true heads.
This ain't your mama's Sandler.
This is something you do for either 50 million years or not at all, to quote the master.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
So yeah, I'll give it 4 bullets. Love Grown-Ups 2.
Rob, thank you very much for coming on the pod again. What do you think about Grown-Ups 2? Any final thoughts? Any thoughts on the future of Adam Sandler and Grown-Ups? Any thoughts on your own adulthood and growing up? And I'm just throwing more questions at you. Any thoughts about what you're doing next week? And also bullet rating.
What's for dinner?
Yeah, what's for dinner?
All right. All right, let's one at a time, people. Okay, well, first, thank you for having me. It was an honor to talk about the Sandman, and I'm sorry that my internet was a little spotty.
Oh, it's okay. Why.
And I'm sorry I'm sick as a dog.
It's living in LA. You're sick with the woke mind virus.
Exactly. Yeah, 4 bullets. It's a beautiful movie. You know, it really is like a warm bath. I'm currently at like a place in my life where I'm constantly looking back at like my college days and being like, I had it so good. Like I wish this was still here. So watching these kind of movies, I'm like, okay, there's hope. I'll be big and fat and old and going through Kmart with my boys. And that's a beautiful thing too. I love it. There probably won't be a Grown-Ups 3, so that's a bummer. But I am hoping to God for a Hubie Halloween 2. Love the Sandman. Love to the whole crew. Kevin James, who's having a moment right now. It's all good. All love. This is all my family.
I also love that it's a costume party at the end, so it's like a tease at the Halloween mindset for Rob, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I did think that. I was like, all right, here we go.
Well, yeah, having a costume party outside of Halloween time is like unheard of, but I feel like people used to do it a lot more.
Well, your buddy Rob Franco, his first birthday party as a kid was a Halloween-themed birthday party in December.
That's beautiful.
In December.
That's just, that just makes me want to cry. That's so beautiful. JT, any final thoughts on Grown-Ups 2 and a rating?
Yeah, I'm going to go 4.5 bullets with this one. Fun, a good time. Obviously has weird little warts about it that I feel like very rarely am I like evaluating a movie based on like, I don't know, feelings bullshit. Like, how does this like movie, I mean, obviously it plays like somewhat extent like in general with
You're
art.
a cold clinician with a checklist.
Exactly. I'm just going through like, I have my Blake Snyder beat sheet open up, and I was like,
you have your 1,000 rules to expert sick shots on tour guide also.
Exactly. I'm just going by the numbers, just evaluating art as just a cold objective math. But I don't know. There's a special type of magic in Grown-Ups 2. It's so funny and just playful and just, yeah, I don't know. For me in particular, all the Sandler stuff is forever linked to my friendship with the three of you fellas, this podcast. And I don't know. There's such a warm feeling there. I love this movie. I love Sandler. I love my boys.
I love this movie too. And I think what you were getting at with ratings is really interesting and kind of what I am thinking too, because there's a certain class of movie that defies rating. Like the 1517 to Paris, this, a couple other Sandler movies, and a couple other things that have developed very personal connections with me, where if I'm looking at my, decade lists and I'm looking at my star ratings on Letterboxd and I'm looking at the order of everything, like I don't want to say I'm a clinician, because like art is an emotional thing and everyone's objective feelings are triggered by the art. So, your aesthetic preferences as well as your feelings are going to determine your evaluations. But there's also a thing where it's like, there's a type of movie where if someone sends me a side-by-side screenshot of like, oh, you have the 1517 to Paris at 5 stars, but you have Boogie Nights at 4, it's like, well, it's hard to defend that kind of, and they're obviously attempting different things too. I think that's the essential part of it, is that different films attempt different things. So those two factors, and the second factor I wanted to get into a little more, because I remember Ebert talked about this in his review of like The Avengers, where I think he gave it like a very passive 3 stars and was like, you got to judge a film for what it's trying to do, and this is just like superhero fanfare, and it accomplishes what it wants, even if it's not really my thing. I think The Avengers gets a 1 on that scale because it's attempting blockbuster spectacle, and it sucks. This film is attempting nothing. It is attempting to exploit your love of Adam Sandler and his friends, and it does it perfectly. Also, there's just something completely invaluable about this movie. Like, I took off my star rating last time I watched it because I was like, I can't compare this to other movies because it has such a sentimental place in my heart. But also, if art is so much about personal sentiment and your own reading of it, then what does that even say about me as a critic? And it just caused all these crazy things to stir in my head that I was just thinking, I can't believe Grown Ups 2 is making me think about all these like deeper things about art and how I feel about certain things. And what is a 5? Is a 5 a perfect movie? No, a 5 is as high as you can go, but I've seen perfect movies that I've rated at a 4 or a 3 because it's not aligned with my interests. It works perfectly on its own terms, but it's not what I want to go see. And so that's why for me, Grown Ups 2 is a 5. Woo!
Hell yeah.
I have to give it the 5, and I love Grown Ups 2. And you know what? This episode's coming out. The day it's coming out is my birthday. And to paraphrase a famous song, it's my birthday, and I'll 5 Grown Ups 2 if I want to. And I'll cry at Grown Ups 2 if I want to.
That's right, baby.
Yeah. Pour yourself a big pitcher of soda for Eddie today.
Pour yourself the long draft, to quote Marky Smith, because Adam Sandler is the hip priest. He has made my life so much better, and I hope that he is appreciated by you, and I hope that we are also appreciated by you on this 251st episode of Extended Clip. Rob was our guest. Rob, is there anything you would like for the people online to know about? Anything you'd like to plug? What?
Sorry. I accidentally stopped the recording on my end. But
all good.
No, I'm
use
good.
The Zoom on this.
Yeah,
so it's all good. Yeah.
You probably follow me on Twitter. If not, who cares? If you are a big money baller, hire me for something. Or cast me in a movie. Hire both me and Eddie.
And
we'll fucking fuck shit up.
Well, we'll do the job.
We'll do the job. We will do the job because we are men that do their jobs.
We'll go above and beyond.
Yeah.
No,
my guarantee. I'll put my name on the line. for them.
Next time we will see you will be on the Patreon feed. So make sure you sign up for $5 a month. You get an extra episode every single week. And we got some good ones coming at you. One that we're coming up on is Mysteries of Lisbon, Raul Ruiz's like 5-hour movie. We're doing that one because Laura Jacobus donated at the $15 a month level. And if you do that, you are an executive producer and make the executive decision of what we get to watch. Guess what? 2 other people did that in the last couple of weeks.
Oh.
So in December, we're going to have an executive decision. And in January, we're going to have an executive decision. I don't have the names pulled up right now. One of them, though, I remember once emailed us about being a former Blank Check fan, or maybe even still a Blank Check fan, and wanting to kind of wage a peace accord because he likes both podcasts so much. And I really appreciate how much love is in that young man's heart.
Yeah. I've always proposed like a boxing charity boxing thing where we could like box
a 2-state solution, but these days you get yelled at, you know.
We could like box each other and raise money for charity. It would like be like a huge positive thing, and everyone would
like when
walk away rich.
Devin Faraki fought Joe Swanberg.
Yeah, exactly. But it's lighthearted. It's nice. It's like we're having fun. We're throwing some fists. Well,
that was charity
cool.
too for like every Fool's Watch enjoyer online.
It is. It's a good clip. I mean, come on.
Come on. Like Joe Swanberg does not exactly look like a big guy, but he takes it to him. It was, oh God, so good. Anyway, we'll see you next time on Extended Clip. Bye.
Bye.
My friends, gonna tell you about my friends. My friends ain't enough for one hand. My friends ain't enough for one hand. My friends don't amount to one hand. One hand. My friends don't add up to one hand. My friends don't amount to one hand. One hand. Tell about my friends. My friends don't count up to one hand. My friends cannot count on one hand. My friends don't amount to one hand. Tell about my friends. My friends don't add up to one hand. My friends don't count up to one hand. One hand. Tell about my friends. My friends don't amount to one hand. My friends ain't enough for one hand. One hand. Tell about my friends. za 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 za.